crying a lot because I can't afford to feed my kid. I can't afford to feed my child. Everything is so expensive. I don't have my car now. And they're trying to evict me because my dog won't stop barking because I'm on ODSP, and even though I'm on ODSP, it's not enough. I can't afford anything.
This is what I'm struggling with in America right now in my 20s. Why is everything so expensive? Why am I making more money waitressing than I would make using my college degree? I barely have a life. I have 2 days off and I work Wednesday to Sunday, doubling just to pay my bills. At 22 years old, all of my bills are in my name. I have no help. How are y'all affording housing? In Myrtle Beach, a one-bedroom apartment is $1,500. How are y'all getting insurance, going to the doctor, getting medicine? And then some of us are trying to be TikTok influencers. Who knows where that's going to get me? Me and my boyfriend are saving, but we barely see each other during the week, and it feels like we're working our off for nothing. Do we need to move somewhere for a better job opportunity that we don't know about? Do any of y'all really know what you want to do with your life right now? It is so scary being in America right now.
Every economic problem that we're facing in this country right now, student loan debt being just out of control, the government shutdown, SNAP benefits being cut, health insurance premiums about to go through the roof, your rent going up, your pay stagnating, groceries just being astronomical, is because reparations were never paid after the Civil War. Let me explain. After the Civil War, the Union, the North won and the South was defeated, but the South was never punished. The Confederacy lived on in the ideology of the people, of the white people of the South. Reparations were never paid to Black Americans. They were never really truly given the opportunity to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, to rise up and become equal members of this country, equal citizens. They've been fighting for their equality since then. They've never actually truly achieved it. So when white people hear a promise from Donald Trump et al. That we're going to run the country like a business, to them that sounds appealing. They're like, oh yeah, because you know what? I'm a business owner. I own this country because I'm white. When Black and brown people hear, well, we're going to run the country, run the government like a business, they understand what that means because they've been dealing with it for centuries. White people think that they are on the side of the owners, the masters, but they're not. Most white people have more in common with the Black and brown people that they look down upon. They are closer to them in the economic tax bracket than they are to the white billionaires whose asses they kiss. But listen to them glazing billionaires, especially on this app. I make $50,000 a year, but I have more in common with Jeff Bezos than I do with George Floyd. Bullshit! The only reason the lie of let's run this country like a business appealed to you is because you thought you would benefit. And now here you are. Now here you are understanding that when they say we're going to run this country like a business, that means they're going to profit off of your ass. That means that if you take $100,000 loan out to go to college, you will be in debt to the federal government until the day you fucking die. You borrowed $100 grand, prepare to repay $300 grand. Because they're running the government like a business now. And guess what? You're a customer, not an owner. The government exists to serve us, not to profit off of us. And we will continue to have these problems until y'all get your fucking minds right.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing good. Today we are reacting to this discussion that has been gaining a lot of attention online. White Americans are in an emotional breakdown, and because they thought that poverty was only meant for Black people, until now they are the ones suffering. So it's just important to remember first that poverty is a complex issue that affects people from all racial and ethnic backgrounds. And economic hardships doesn't discriminate, and also millions of Americans are struggling with rising costs, housing challenges, healthcare expenses, and job insecurity. So that being said, let's just talk about why this conversation is generating so much debate. Before I come back with more commentaries, let me roll these clips, then I'll be coming back with more commentaries. And in case of any thoughts, kindly feel free to let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, stay tuned.
It's getting so expensive. I can't even afford anything. We're paying. You go to Frills or Walmart or somewhere, these big corporations that can afford to make food and other things cheaper, but they don't want to because they are greedy. You buy five things, and it comes out to almost, or maybe even $100. 5 items for $100. I can't live like this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm so tired of living like this.
So I just watched a video of a white woman literally crying about the conditions of the United States, how she has to work 60 hours and she's looking at other countries and they don't even have to work 40 hours, how they can take a train for like pennies on the dollar anywhere they want. Meanwhile, like our country's infrastructure is falling apart. How it feels like there's no support nets. It feels like all the safety nets are dissolving and she doesn't understand why. And I both hate and love to remind these folks that the reason why the United States is the way it is because of y'all. A lot of you are the descendants of folks, or might actually be some of the folks, who were more invested in not sharing all of the programs, all of the initiatives that the United States was starting with marginalized people, specifically black people. Y'all are some of the same folks who would have rather filled in the pools in your neighborhood than share them. Shut down the schools and the libraries rather than share them. That you would rather vote against any forming of these safety nets or any protections for these safety nets rather than share them with marginalized people. Then you look up a generation or two or less later and wonder why you don't have these safety nets to protect you, because you were banking on your whiteness to keep you safe. And a lot of you learned pretty quickly after this election that you don't even have that to keep you safe. That unless your bank account has something like 7 digits in it, that the folks that you were banking on to protect you won't. And that some of the safety nets that maybe your mama or your family have relied upon, like SNAP or Medicaid or Medicare or any of those other basic safety nets, are going to be eradicated by the very people that you voted for. May I suggest, instead of crying, you strap up? The whole bootstrap thing that y'all be telling my people about. Remember that you get what you pay for. For everybody else who's not invested in crying, maybe some suggested reading. The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee. It talks about how equality is not a zero-sum game. This book has torn me up several times that I've read it, but it is essential reading. So for the next few years, might want to be diving in instead of crying on the internet.
You know, for many decades, poverty has always been associated with in America with the specific communities, and media narratives, political discussions, and also stereotypes often painted an image that economic hardship was primarily a problem affecting black neighborhoods and other minority communities. And as a result, some people grew up believing that poverty was something distant from their own lives. Yeah. And but you know, in recent years, many Americans across different backgrounds have found themselves facing economic realities. They never These are realities that they really never expected. Inflation, housing costs, rising debt, job market changes have all affected families in urban areas, in suburbs, and even rural communities alike. So what is interesting about this reaction online is that many people are saying that these economic challenges are forcing Americans to rethink long held assumptions. Some individuals who once viewed poverty as someone else's problem, they are now experiencing financial pressure firsthand. And that's where the emotional aspect comes into play. And when people go through this difficult situation, they never, these are situations that they really never imagined could happen to them. And this can really make them shocked. It's shocking. It can challenge their worldview. Suddenly, issues like affordable housing, healthcare costs, food prices, and wages become personal concerns rather than political talking points. And many social media users are pointing out that economic struggles can create empathy. And when people experience hardship themselves, they may develop a greater understanding of what others have been dealing with for years. Others even argue that this moment reveals a larger problem in America. They say that the focus should not be on which racial group is suffering more, but rather on why so many working families struggle despite living in one of the world's largest economies. And that's a question worth discussing. If families from different backgrounds are all feeling the pressure, perhaps the conversation should shift towards solutions rather than divisions. People are increasingly asking why wages haven't kept pace with costs, why home ownership feels out of reach for many young adults, and why financial security seems harder to achieve than it was for previous generations. And one thing that stands out when reading comments on this topic is the frustration. You see people expressing anger, people are expressing disappointment and even uncertainty about the future. Some people are worried about retirement, others are worried about paying rent. Many are concerned about the opportunities available to the next generation. So these concerns are not unique to one community. And at the same time, some Black Americans online are saying that economic hardship in their communities has been discussed for generations, and they feel that broader society only started paying attention when more people outside those communities began experiencing similar struggles. Yes, so whether you agree with that perspective or not, it is a viewpoint that is being widely shared and debated across the social media platforms. And the bigger lesson here may be that poverty is not something that only affects one group of people. Economic challenges can affect anyone under the right circumstances. And the idea that financial hardship belongs to one race, one neighborhood, or one community is simply not supported by reality. Yes. And as even the costs continue to rise and economic uncertainty continues, more Americans are realizing that they have more in common than they may have previously believed. And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from this discussion. Instead of focusing on who deserves sympathy and who does not, maybe the conversation should be about creating opportunities, strengthening communities, and finding ways to help families achieve stability regardless of their background. But that's just my reaction. So what do you think? Are Americans beginning to see economic hardship differently than they did in the past? And do these struggles create greater understanding between communities, or do they deepen existing tensions? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the commentary, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future discussions. Thank you. All credit belongs to the original creators of the video, and this video is meant for educational purposes and commentary purposes as well. Thank you. See you in the next one.